Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will go through everything you need to know about measurement for our upcoming test. So by measurement, we're looking at perimeter, area, and volume of shapes. So let's start with perimeter. The perimeter of a shape is just the length around the outside of the shape. It is all of its edges, the length of each of its edges added together. Now, it's important to note that we can actually find the perimeter of a shape even if we don't know the lengths of all the sides. See, we don't know what this length is and what this length is. What we do know, though, is that this and this, which I'll colour in green, they must add to 45. I don't know if it's 20 and 25 or 30 and 15, it doesn't matter. These two sides marked green add to 45. Similarly, these two sides add to 60. So even though I don't know the lengths of each side, I can find the perimeter of this shape. So I have the 60 centimeter side and the 45 centimeter side, but I can also add another 60 for these two sides marked blue, and I'm going to add another 45 for the two sides marked green. So adding them up, you get 210 centimeters. You can use your calculator for this. So that's the length around the outside of the shape. So what would be the length of around the outside of the shape in meters? Well, here is a chart for converting units of length. So what you do, if you're in centimeters and you want to go to meters, you start centimeters and you follow the arrow. To get from centimeters to meters, I need to divide by 100. Now you can put this chart on your cheat sheet. So just remember the rule that if you're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, you divide because there are fewer of the larger unit. And on the other hand, if you're going from a larger to a smaller unit, you times because there are more of the smaller unit. So if I want to convert 210 centimeters to meters, starting at centimeters, I go 210 divided by 100. So the perimeter in meters is 210 divided by 100. It's 2.1 meters around the outside of this shape. All right, let's now look at area. So area is a two-dimensional quantity. It's basically the number of squares you can fit inside a 2D shape. This shape is said to be two-dimensional because it has length and width. One dimension, two dimensions. So to find the area of a rectangle, a four-sided shape with all right angles, you just simply multiply together the length and the width. So we just go 9 times 7 equals 63. Now the units, when we're doing area, will be something squared. Meters squared, centimeters squared, whatever. So here, because these measurements were in units, it will be meters squared. What that means is I could take 63 squares, each of which was 1 meter squared, and I could fit them in here. I could fit 9 squares along here, 7 along there, 9 times 7. All right, for a parallelogram, so remember that is a four-sided shape with two pairs of parallel sides. A parallelogram is basically a rectangle that is slanted. So to find the area of a rectangle, it's base B times H. Now H is always perpendicular height. Whenever you see H in the formula in measurement for area, volume, whatever, it means perpendicular height. So what it means is I don't want this slant height of 8 centimeters, I want the perpendicular height of 7. Perpendicular height means at right angles, so this is supposed to be a right angle here. So the area of this shape is the base, which is 10, times 7, which is the perpendicular height, and that gives us 70, and it will be in centimeters squared. The 8 centimeter side here allows me to find the perimeter, but not the area. The perimeter of this shape is just 8 plus 10 plus 8 plus 10, 36 centimeters, but this 8 is the slant height, and I don't use it to calculate the area. So similarly for a triangle, it has a H in its formula. It's the same as a parallelogram but divided by 2. The area of a triangle is base times perpendicular height divide 2. So if I were to find the area of this triangle here, the base is 30, The perpendicular height is 15. H means perpendicular height, the height at 90 degrees to the base. I don't want the slant height. This slant height of 18 doesn't help me calculate the area. So the area is just 30 times 15, which is 450. And because the measurements were in millimeters, the area is going to be in millimeters squared. All right, let's now look at a few harder area questions. So let's start with this. The area of a triangle is 30 centimeters squared, base is 8 centimeters. Calculate its perpendicular height. So whenever you have a situation in which you want to use the area, perimeter, or volume to find a side length, start by writing the formula. So the formula for the area of a triangle is area equals base times perpendicular height divided by 2. I'm going to write it again here. So after you've written the formula, we are going to substitute everything we know. We're going to substitute what the question told us. The question told us that the area was 30. So I'm going to rub out A area and replace it with 30. It also told us that the base was 8. So I'm going to rub out B for base and replace it with 8. Now I have an equation to solve. So I just solve that like we've been solving equations all year. I want to find H. I want to get H by itself. So let's undo what's been done to H. So I'm going to undo dividing by 2 by timesing each side by 2. So I get 60 equals 8H. The way I undo timesing H, because remember, 8H means 8 times H. The way I undo timesing by 8 is dividing by 8. So 60 divided by 8, 7.5. You can use your calculator for that. 7.5 equals H. So because all the measurements were in centimeters, H will also be in centimeters. The perpendicular height of this triangle must be 7.5 centimeters because 8 times 7.5 divided by 2 is 30. All right, let's look at this question here. The perimeter of a rectangle is 48. Width is 9 centimeters. Calculate its area. So we know that the area of a rectangle is length times width. Well, I know the width is 9. I need to find the length. So sometimes it might help you to draw a picture. So let's draw a picture of a rectangle. So we are told the width is 9 centimeters. And I need to find the length, I need to find this dimension here in order to find its area. Now it says the perimeter is 48. So remember that means all the way around is 48 centimeters. What that means is that if you just take the length and the width, they will add to half the perimeter. They will add to 24 because 24 plus another 24 is 48. So here the length has to actually be 15. It has to be 24, half the perimeter, minus 9. Because 15 plus 9 plus 15 plus 9 equals 48. I have now found the length. I already knew the width. So now it's easy to find the area. The area is simply going to be length times width. And you can use your calculator for this. You get 135 because the measurements were in centimeters. Our area is in centimeters squared. All right, let's now look at volume. So whereas area is the amount of two-dimensional space that fits inside a shape, volume is the amount of three-dimensional space inside a shape. We're looking for volume at three-dimensional shapes. So this shape here is a rectangular prism. It has 3 dimensions. It has length, it has width, and it has height. So this shape here, we're looking at what can fit inside it because it's three-dimensional, just like you and I. So to find the volume of a rectangular prism, all you do is multiply the length, width, and height. So in this diagram, because I have these 2 dashes, that means these 2 sides are equal. So the width is 8, but the height is also 8. So the volume here will be length times width times height. So it's just 96 times 8, which is 768. Now, when you're doing volume, it will be in cubic units, centimeters cubed. This means that if I take little cubes with side length 1, little cubes that have volume 1 centimeter cubed, I could fit 768 of them inside this shape. So we're going to quickly look at converting between units of capacity and units of volume. Cubic units like centimeters cubed and meters cubed are units of volume. Units like milliliters and liters, they are units of capacity. This chart, which you can put on your cheat sheet if you want, that tells you how to convert between units of capacity and units of volume. See, a milliliter and a centimeter cubed are literally the same thing. If you have a can of Coke that's 375 mils, that means it holds 375 centimeters cubed inside it. So there are 1,000 milliliters or centimeters cubed in a litre, and there are 1,000 litres in a metre cubed. Once again, if you're going from smaller to larger unit, you divide, larger to smaller unit, you times. So this shape here held 768 centimeters cubed. That means the capacity of this prism is 768 mils, because a milliliter or a mil and a centimeter cubed are the same thing. If I want to know how many litres this holds, I simply divide this number by 1,000. And you can use your calculator for that. So it would hold 0.768 litres, almost 0.8 litres. So this would hold just under a litre. All right, let's now look at a harder question involving volume. So let's look at this shape here. We're told the area of one of its faces is 64 centimetres squared. Note, there's no way this could be the volume of the shape, because volume's in cubic units, not square units. This is a unit for area. So what I'm saying is that each of these faces of the cube has area 64 centimeters squared. I want to calculate the volume. Well, a cube is actually a type of rectangular prism. So for a cube, its volume will just be length times width times height, because it's a rectangular prism. But a cube is a special type of rectangular prism where each of its dimensions are equal. The length, the width, and the height are all equal. So to make it easier on myself, I can just use the formula V equals L cubed when the shape is a cubed, because W and H are both equal to L when the shape is a cubed. So the volume of any cubed is just the side length cubed. So in order to find the volume of this shape, we need to know the side length. So if this is the side length L and the area of this square is 64 centimeters, I know that I have L squared equals 64, because that's the area of a square. The area of a square is length times width. But if they're the same, it's just side length times side length squared. So the side length squared equals 64. To undo squaring, we square root both sides. So the side length is just the square root of 64, which is equal to 8. The reason the side length is 8, because 8 times by itself, 8 times 8 gives 64. So if the side length is 8, the side length of a cubed is 8, the volume is just 8 cubed, or 8 times 8 times 8. You can put it in your calculator, you will get 512. So because this was in centimeters squared, our side length here must be in centimeters. That means the volume is in centimeters cubed. So this cube here is 512 centimeters cubed in volume. That means it would hold 512 milliliters of liquid, or 0.512 litres. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Best of luck studying for your test.